Stop everything and check your pockets right now. Because what I'm about to tell you sounds unbelievable, but it's absolutely real. Somewhere out there, hidden in plain sight, a tiny coin that most people would ignore without a second thought could be worth over $1 million. Not gold, not rare ancient treasure, just a simple 1980 coin that looks like everyday pocket change. And the most shocking part, it could already be in your possession. Picture this. You're cleaning out your car. You reach under the seat and pull out a handful of dusty coins. Among them is a dull, ordinary-looking piece that you almost toss aside. But what if that exact coin is the one collectors have been desperately searching for? The one with a mysterious minting mistake that was never supposed to exist. This is not just another coin story. This is a real-life treasure hunt. Back in 1980, something unusual happened at the mint. During production, a small number of coins were struck with a rare and almost ghost-like error. These weren't supposed to leave the facility. They weren't supposed to be seen. And yet, somehow, a few escaped into circulation. For decades, they've been quietly passing from hand to hand, dropped into cash registers, forgotten in jars, buried in drawers, waiting for someone with a sharp eye to finally recognize their true value. Now here's where it gets exciting. The specific coin you're looking for is a 1980 piece with a P mint mark. At first glance, it looks completely normal. Nothing flashy, nothing that screams wealth. But the secret lies in the details. Tiny details that most people would never think to check. Collectors call it doubling, that if you look closely at the letters or numbers on the coin, you might notice something strange. The edges of the text may appear slightly duplicated, like a shadow or echo. It's subtle, easy to miss. But that tiny imperfection is exactly what transforms this coin from a few cents into a life-changing discovery. Imagine holding something that small and realizing it could be worth more than a luxury house. And it doesn't stop there. Some of these coins also show off center strikes. That means the design isn't perfectly aligned. It might look shifted, uneven, or just slightly wrong. Again, something most people would assume is damage or wear. But in the world of coin collecting, these mistakes are pure gold because they were never meant to happen. Think about the odds for a second. Millions of coins were produced that year, but only a tiny fraction carry this rare error. And out of those, even fewer have survived in good enough condition to attract serious collectors. That's why the value skyrockets. That's why people are willing to pay staggering amounts. That's why one simple coin could change your life overnight. Now let's make this real. Imagine you're at home. Maybe it's a quiet afternoon. You open an old jar filled with coins you've been saving for years. You start sorting through them, one by one. Most are ordinary. Pennies, nickels, dimes. Nothing special. Then suddenly, you see a .A 1980 coin. Your heart skips a beat. You remember what you heard. The doubling. The off-center strike. The rare minting mistake. Your hands start to shake just a little as you bring the coin closer to your eyes. You look carefully. And there it is, a faint doubling on the letters. Almost like a hidden signature left behind by the mint itself. In that moment, everything changes. Because you're no longer holding spare change, that you're holding a potential fortune. This is the kind of discovery that people dream about, but rarely believe can actually happen. But the truth is, it does happen. Coins like this have been found before. Not in museums, not in vaults, but in everyday places. In pockets, in couch cushions, in forgotten collections passed down through families. The reason is simple. Most people don't know what to look for. They see a coin and assume it's just worth its face value. They never think to check the date, the mint mark, the tiny details that could reveal something extraordinary. And that's exactly why opportunities like this still exist. Because while others overlook them, you won't. So here's what you need to do. Start by gathering any coins you have lying around. Check your wallet, your car, old boxes, drawers you haven't opened in years. Don't rush. Take your time. This is not just searching. This is hunting. Look specifically for coins from 1980. Once you find one, focus on the area just below the date. That's where the mint mark sits. A small letter that tells you where the coin was produced. You're looking for the P mint mark. Then comes the most important part. Examine the details. Look at the lettering, the numbers, the edges. Do they appear sharp and clean, or do you notice something unusual? A slight doubling, a shadow effect, a design that seems just a bit off. If you see anything that looks different, don't ignore it. That difference could be worth everything. And here's something most people don't realize. Condition matters. A coin that has been well preserved, with minimal wear, can be worth significantly more than one that has been heavily used. So if you find something promising, handle it carefully. Don't clean it. Don't try to fix it. Even small changes can reduce its value. Instead, keep it safe. Because if you truly have one of these rare error coins, you're holding something collectors would compete for. And that brings us to the big question. The answer lies in rarity and demand. There are collectors out there who dedicate their entire lives to finding unique pieces. They're not just buying coins. They're chasing history, stories, moments that shouldn't have happened but somehow did. A minting error like this represents a mistake frozen in time, a glitch in a system designed for perfection. And that makes it incredibly valuable. That it's not just metal, that it's a mystery, that a legend, that a hidden treasure that survived decades without being discovered. And now, that treasure could be within your reach. Think about how many coins pass through your hands every year. Hundreds, maybe thousands. And all it takes is one. Just one overlooked piece to change everything. That's why this is so powerful. Because it's not locked away somewhere unreachable. It's out there, moving through the world. Waiting for someone like you to notice. So don't dismiss the idea. Don't assume it's impossible. Because right now, somewhere, someone is about to find one of these coins. Someone is about to experience that moment of disbelief, followed by excitement, followed by the realization that they've just uncovered something extraordinary. And there's no reason that someone can't be you. This is your chance to turn everyday moments into something unforgettable. To transform ordinary pocket change into a story that people will talk about for years. All it takes is curiosity, attention, and the willingness to look a little closer than everyone else. So go ahead. Check your pockets. Search your drawers. Dig through those old jars of coins you've been ignoring. Most people who have held it had absolutely no idea what they were holding. It looks like a simple dime. Worn, ordinary, almost forgettable. The kind of coin you would toss into a jar, drop into a vending machine, or leave behind in your car's cup holder without a second thought. But this is not just any dime. This is the 1965 no-mint mark dime with a rare and mysterious minting error that was never supposed to exist. And yet, it does. To understand why this tiny coin could be worth a life-changing fortune, we have to go back to a moment in history when everything about American coinage was changing. The year was 1965. The United States Mint was under pressure. Silver prices were rising, and people were hoarding coins. The government needed a solution fast, so they made a dramatic decision. They removed silver from circulating dimes and quarters, replacing it with a cheaper copper-nickel composition. This marked the beginning of a new era. But during times of transition, mistakes happen, and sometimes those mistakes slip quietly into circulation. Somewhere inside the mint, something went wrong. A small number of dimes were accidentally struck using the old silver planchets instead of the new copper-nickel ones. These coins were never meant to leave the mint. They were never meant to exist at all. Yet somehow, they escaped into the real world, blending in with millions of ordinary coins. For decades, they went unnoticed. Think about that. A coin worth over $1 million quietly passing from hand to hand. From cash registers to wallets. From jars to pockets. Sitting unnoticed in drawers, piggy banks, and dusty collections. Waiting for someone to recognize it. Now here is where it gets even more fascinating. The 1965 dime does not carry a mint mark. That means you cannot rely on a simple letter to identify it. Instead, the secret lies in the details. The subtle differences. The hidden clues that only a careful eye can detect. First, you need to look at the color. A standard 1965 dime has a dull, slightly grayish tone with a visible copper layer along the edge. But the rare silver error version looks different. It has a brighter, more uniform shine. When you tilt it under light, it reflects with a soft, almost glowing silver appearance. Then check the edge. This is one of the easiest ways to spot something unusual. A normal clad dime will show a thin copper stripe sandwiched between layers. But the rare silver version has no copper stripe at all. It is solid silver all the way through. That alone could be your first clue that you are holding something extraordinary. But do not stop there. Look closely at the lettering. Pay attention to the words on the coin. In some of these rare error pieces, you may notice something strange. The letters appear slightly doubled. Not dramatically, not in a way that jumps out instantly, but just enough to feel off. as if the design shifted ever so slightly during the striking process. This doubling effect is one of the most important signs that IT tells a story of mechanical misalignment. A moment inside the mint where precision failed for just a fraction of a second. And that tiny imperfection transformed an ordinary coin into something incredibly rare. Now imagine this. You are cleaning out your car. You reach under the seat and pull out a handful of loose change. You are about to toss it into a jar when something catches your eye. One coin looks just a little different. Slightly brighter. Slightly sharper. Something feels unusual. You pause. You take a closer look. And in that moment, everything changes. That is how discoveries like this happen. Not in museums. Not in auctions. But in everyday life. In ordinary moments. By ordinary people who simply took the time to look closer. Collectors are constantly searching for coins like this. They know how rare they are. They know how few exist. And they are willing to pay extraordinary amounts to own one. Because this coin represents more than just money. It represents history. Mystery. A hidden flaw in a system designed for perfection. It is a tangible piece of a moment when something slipped through the cracks and became legendary. And here is the truth that most people never realize. These coins are still out there. Not all of them have been found. Not all of them are locked away in private collections. Some are still circulating, still hiding in plain sight, still waiting for someone who knows what to look for, someone like you. But finding one requires more than luck. It requires awareness, patience, and a willingness to slow down and examine what others ignore. Start with your own coins. Look through your change. Check old jars. Ask family members if they have collections tucked away in closets or drawers. Visit local shops where coins are exchanged every day. Every place where coins pass through hands is a potential opportunity. And when you find a 1965 dime, do not dismiss it. Hold it. Turn it under the light. Study the surface. Check the edge. Look for that clean silver color. Search for any signs of doubling or unusual detail. Because the difference between an ordinary coin and a $1,000,000 discovery is often just a few tiny details. Details that most people never notice. That is why these coins remain hidden for so long. Not because they are impossible to find, but because people are not looking closely enough. Now let us talk about value. When one of these rare error dimes appears in the market, it creates a wave of excitement. Collectors compete fiercely to own it. Prices climb rapidly, and in top condition, with clear evidence of its unique characteristics, the value can exceed $1,000,000. Think about that for a moment. A single dime. Worth more than a house, more than years of hard work, more than most people will ever imagine finding in their lifetime. And yet, it exists that IT has been found before, which means it can be found again. The question is not whether these coins are real. The question is whether you will be the one to find the next one. Because somewhere out there, right now, another one is waiting. IT could be sitting in a cash register, resting in a coin jar, hidden in a forgotten collection, or lying quietly in your own home, unnoticed, unrecognized, and incredibly valuable. This is what makes coin collecting so powerful. It is not just a hobby. It is a real-life treasure hunt, one where the rewards are not imaginary. They are real, tangible, life-changing, and the barrier to entry is almost nothing. You do not need expensive equipment. You do not need years of experience. You just need curiosity, attention, and the willingness to look where others do not. Because every great discovery begins with a simple moment of awareness. A decision to look closer. A refusal to ignore the ordinary. Before you move on with your day, take a moment. Check your pockets. Look at the coins in your wallet. Search that jar on your shelf. Because the opportunity is already around you, hidden in plain sight. And remember this, somewhere today, someone is going to find one of these rare dimes. Someone is going to recognize the signs. Someone is going to realize they are holding something extraordinary. There is no reason that someone cannot be you. This is your chance to turn the smallest coin into the biggest discovery of your life. All it takes is one look, one moment, one decision to pay attention. But hidden among those ordinary coins could be a life-changing discovery. A single coin that looks almost identical to the rest could be worth more than a luxury house, more than years of hard work, more than most people ever imagine holding in their hands. We are talking about a specific 1996 D mint mark coin, a coin that at first glance looks completely normal. But collectors know something the average person does not. There is a rare and mysterious minting error tied to certain examples of this coin. And when that error appears in just the right way, it transforms a simple piece of metal into a hidden treasure worth over $1.2 million. Now think about that for a second. $1.2 million. For a coin that could be sitting in your home right now. This is not a fantasy story. This is not some exaggerated rumor. This is the world of coin collecting, where tiny details create massive value, and where the smallest imperfections can turn into the biggest rewards. It all begins at the mint, where coins are produced in massive quantities. Millions upon millions of coins are struck every year, and the process is designed to be precise and consistent. But every once in a while, something goes wrong. And when it does, it creates an error coin. These errors are not supposed to exist. They slip through quality control, escape into circulation, and quietly blend in with ordinary coins. Most people never notice them, but collectors spend years searching for them because they know that these rare mistakes can be worth a fortune. The 1996 D Mint Mark coin we are talking about is believed to have a rare doubling error. This is where the design on the coin appears slightly duplicated, almost like a shadow or a blur. It can affect the letters, the numbers, or even parts of the image. And this doubling is not damage. It is not wear. It is something that happened during the minting process itself. Imagine the coin being struck twice in slightly different positions, creating a subtle but powerful visual effect. To the untrained eye, it might look like a flaw, but to a collector, it is a signature of rarity. And here is where things get even more exciting. Not all doubling is equal. Some coins show very minor doubling that is barely noticeable. Others display strong, clear doubling that can be seen without magnification. The stronger and more obvious the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes. For the 1996 D coin, collectors are especially interested in doubling on the lettering and the date. You need to look closely at the numbers in the year, especially the 1, 9, 9, and 6. Do they look sharp and clean, or do they appear slightly doubled or shifted? Then move to the letters. Are the edges crisp, or do you see a faint duplication? Even the mint mark itself, the small d located just below the date, can show signs of this rare error. If it looks off-center or slightly doubled, that is a major clue. Now picture this. You are sitting at home, maybe cleaning out an old drawer or sorting through a jar of coins you have not touched in years. You pick up a coin, glance at it, and something looks just a little different. The letters do not seem perfectly aligned. The numbers look slightly off. At that moment, your heart starts to race. Because if that coin has the right combination of features, if it shows that rare doubling in just the right way, you could be holding something worth over $1 million. And the most incredible part is that these coins are still out there. They were released into circulation decades ago. People spent them without thinking. They passed from hand to hand, from store to store, from city to city. Some ended up in collections, but many are still hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice what everyone else missed. This is what makes coin collecting feel like a real-life treasure hunt. You do not need a map. You do not need expensive equipment. All you need is attention, patience, and the willingness to look closely at something others ignore. But there is something important you need to understand. Not every 1996 D coin is valuable. In fact, most of them are worth only their face value. The difference between an ordinary coin and $1 million coin comes down to those tiny details. First, start by gathering all the coins you can find. Check your pockets, your car, your drawers, and any jars or containers where you might have stored loose change. Do not overlook anything. Even a single coin could be the one. Next, find good lighting. Natural light works best, but a bright lamp can also help. You want to clearly see the surface of the coin without shadows or glare. Then, take your time. Do not rush. Examine each coin carefully. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Look at the letters. Rotate the coin slightly and see how the light reflects off the surface. Sometimes the doubling becomes more visible at certain angles, but if you have a magnifying glass, use it. Even a small amount of magnification can reveal details that are hard to see with the naked eye. And remember this. The difference between missing a fortune and finding one could come down to a single second of attention. Most people never check their coins closely. They assume everything is ordinary. They assume nothing valuable could be hiding in something so small. But history has proven otherwise. There are countless stories of people discovering rare coins in the most unexpected places. Coins found in pocket change, in old piggy banks, in inherited collections, even in parking lots. These discoveries happen because someone took the time to look. Now imagine being that person. Imagine realizing that the coin in your hand is not just a coin. It is an opportunity. It is a reward for paying attention. It is a hidden treasure that has been waiting years, maybe decades, to be discovered. That is the power of a single coin, but it only works if you take action. Right now, somewhere out there, someone is going to find one of these rare coins. It could happen today. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen in a place as ordinary as a kitchen table or a car seat. And there is no reason it cannot be you. So do not wait. Do not assume you do not have one. Do not let the opportunity pass you by. Start checking. Look at every coin with fresh eyes. Pay attention to the details. Trust your instincts. If something looks unusual, do not ignore it. That small difference could be the key to something extraordinary, because hidden among the ordinary coins of everyday life, there are rare pieces that carry incredible value. And the 1996 D Mint Mark coin with the right error is one of those pieces that it is not just money. It is a story. It is a mystery. It is proof that even in the most common places, there can be something truly remarkable waiting to be discovered. Somewhere out there, hidden in plain sight, mixed in with ordinary spare change, is a coin so rare, so mysterious, that collectors have been known to offer over $1.3 million for it. And the most shocking part is this. It looks almost exactly like a normal, everyday coin that we are talking about, a 1988 coin with a P mint mark. A coin that should have been completely ordinary. A coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought. But a small number of these coins were struck with a minting error so unusual, so unexpected, that it created one of the most sought-after treasures in modern coin collecting history. This is not just a story about money. This is a story about a hidden mistake, a secret from the mint, and a life-changing opportunity that could be sitting in your drawer, your car, or even in your pocket right now. Now imagine this for a moment. You are cleaning out your car. You reach under the seat and find a handful of dusty coins. You almost throw them away or drop them into a jar. But something catches your eye. One coin looks slightly different. The letters seem just a little off. Not enough to notice at first glance, but enough to make you pause. That pause could be worth over $1 million, because the coin we are talking about today is known for a mysterious doubling error. And not just any doubling. This is the kind of doubling that should never have happened. A ghost-like effect where the letters and numbers appear slightly duplicated, as if the coin was struck twice in perfect but slightly misaligned motion. And here is the part that makes collectors go crazy. This error is incredibly rare. It was never meant to leave the mint. Yet somehow, a few of these coins slipped through quality control and entered circulation. They spread across the country, passed from hand to hand, unnoticed for years, even decades. Think about that. For decades, people have been spending these coins without realizing their true value. Buying coffee, paying for gas, tossing them into tip jars, all while holding something that could have changed their entire financial future. So what exactly should you be looking for first? The year. You need to find a 1988 coin. That is your starting point. Without the correct year, nothing else matters. Next, look for the mint mark. On this coin, you are looking for a small letter P located just below the date. It is tiny, easy to miss, but absolutely critical. Now here is where things get interesting. You need to examine the details very closely. And when I say closely, I mean really closely. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Even your phone camera zoom can help. Focus on the letters and numbers, especially the date and the inscriptions. Look for any signs of doubling. Not damage, not scratches, but true doubling. The kind where the edges of the letters look like they have a shadow, where the shapes appear slightly shifted, as if there are two images overlapping each other. This is not something you will notice in a quick glance. It takes patience. It takes attention. But if you find it, you could be holding one of the rarest modern coins ever released. Now let's talk about the metal itself. Some of these coins are rumored to have been struck on the wrong planchet. That means the metal used was not what it was supposed to be. This creates subtle differences in color, weight, and even the way the coin reflects light. That if your coin looks slightly different from others of the same year, do not ignore that feeling. That instinct could be your first clue. And here is something else most people do not realize. Condition matters. A lot. The better the condition of the coin, the higher the potential value. A coin that looks almost new, with sharp details and minimal wear, can be worth exponentially more than one that has been heavily circulated. But do not make the mistake of thinking a worn coin is worthless. Even coins with visible wear can still carry significant value if the rare error is present. Now you might be wondering, has anyone actually found one of these? The answer is yes. And every time one surfaces, it sends shockwaves through the collecting world. Auctions light up. Collectors compete fiercely. Prices climb rapidly. And suddenly, a coin that was once ignored becomes the center of attention. These moments are rare, but they prove one thing beyond any doubt. These coins are still out there. They have not all been found, which means there is still a chance. A real, tangible chance that the next discovery could be yours. Think about how many coins pass through your hands in a year. How many sit in jars, drawers, and forgotten containers in your home? How many times you have overlooked something simply because it seemed ordinary? That is exactly why this coin is so powerful. It hides in plain sight. It does not announce itself. It does not sparkle or shine in an obvious way. It waits quietly, blending in, until someone takes the time to look closer. And that someone could be you. But let's be clear about something. Not every 1988 coin with AP mint mark is valuable. The vast majority are completely normal. That is what makes the rare ones so special. The difference between an ordinary coin and $1 million coin can come down to a tiny detail. A slight doubling, a subtle misalignment, a barely noticeable variation that only reveals itself under careful inspection. That is why attention to detail is everything. Do not rush. Do not assume. Take your time. Compare your coin to verified examples if you can. Learn what true doubling looks like versus damage or wear, because once you know what to look for, you will never see coins the same way again. Every handful of change becomes an opportunity. Every coin becomes a question. Could this be the one? And that feeling, that sense of possibility, is what makes this journey so exciting. Now imagine the moment you realize you have found it. Your heart starts racing. You check it again and again. You compare it. You research it. And slowly, the truth begins to sink in. This is not just another coin. This is the coin, the one collectors have been searching for, the one worth over $1 million, the one that could change everything. What would you do in that moment? Would you keep it safe and have it professionally graded? Would you contact an auction house and watch as collectors compete for it? Would you hold on to it as a piece of history, knowing its story is unlike any other? These are decisions that only a few people ever get to make. But the possibility exists. Right now, today, because somewhere out there, another one of these coins is waiting to be discovered. Maybe it is sitting in a cash register. Maybe it is hidden in an old piggy bank. Maybe it is in your house, quietly waiting for you to notice it. All it takes is one look, one moment of curiosity, one decision to pay attention. Do not ignore your coins anymore. Do not assume they are all the same. Start checking. Start learning. Start looking for the details that others miss. Because the truth is simple. Life-changing opportunities do not always come in obvious forms. Sometimes they come disguised as something ordinary, something small, something you have seen 1,000 times before. And that is exactly what makes this coin so incredible. It turns everyday change into a treasure hunt. It turns a simple habit into a potential breakthrough. It turns a single coin into a story worth over $1 million. We're talking about a 2003 mint mark dime. Yes, a dime. Just 10 cents. Something most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the ground. But this specific coin carries a secret that was never supposed to exist, a flaw born deep inside the United States Mint, a mistake that slipped through unnoticed and quietly entered circulation like a ghost. Imagine this for a second. You're cleaning out your car, brushing aside crumbs and old receipts, when suddenly you hear that familiar metallic clink. You pick up a small coin, barely giving it a glance. But what if that tiny piece of metal in your hand wasn't worth 10 cents, but over $1 million? That's exactly the kind of real-life treasure hunt we're dealing with here. Now let's rewind. Back in 2003, millions of dimes were struck at the Denver Mint. These coins were produced at high speed, thousands per minute, under intense mechanical pressure. The process is precise, but not perfect. And every once in a while, something goes wrong. Something slips through, and when it does, it creates what collectors call a mint error. But not all errors are equal. Some are minor. Some are barely noticeable. And then there are the legendary ones, the kind that rewrite history. The 2003 dime error falls into that category. What makes this coin so special is a mysterious doubling effect that appears on certain parts of the design. This isn't damage. This isn't wear and tear. This is something that happened at the exact moment the coin was struck, when the design was being transferred onto the metal blank. That on these rare examples, the letters and numbers appear slightly doubled, almost like a shadow or echo. If you look closely, especially at the date or inscriptions, you may notice that the edges aren't perfectly crisp. Instead, they look slightly blurred or duplicated. And here's where things get even more interesting. Some reports suggest that a few of these coins may have been struck on the wrong type of metal. Instead of the standard clad composition, they could have been struck on planchets intended for other coins, creating a subtle but extremely valuable variation in weight, color, or texture. To the average person, these differences are invisible. But to a trained collector, they're everything, because they tell a story of a mistake that was never meant to happen, a story of a coin that should never have existed. And because of that, the value skyrockets. The truth is, the minting process is incredibly complex. Dies can shift, machines can misalign, planchets can get mixed. And when millions upon millions of coins are being produced, it only takes a fraction of a second for something to go wrong. Most errors are caught and destroyed before they ever leave the mint. But occasionally, a few slip through the cracks. And when they do, they enter circulation just like any other coin. They pass from hand to hand, from cash register to pocket, from pocket to jar, completely unnoticed, until one day, someone looks a little closer. That's what makes this so exciting. Because the next person to find one of these coins isn't going to be a billionaire or a professional treasure hunter. It's going to be someone ordinary, someone like you. First, you need to find a 2003 dime with a D mint mark. The D stands for Denver, and you'll see it just below the year on the front of the coin. Once you've found it, don't just glance at it. Really look at it. Hold it under good lighting. Tilt it back and forth. Pay close attention to the letters, especially the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Do they look perfectly sharp, or do you see a slight doubling effect, like a faint second image just offset from the first? Next, examine the date itself. The numbers should be crisp and clean. But if you notice any unusual thickness, distortion, or doubling, that could be a sign you're holding something incredibly rare. Even the color and weight can give you clues. If the coin looks slightly different from a typical dime, or feels unusual in your hand, it's worth investigating further. Because here's the reality. Most people never check their coins. They spend them without thinking. They toss them into jars. They leave them forgotten in drawers for years. And that's exactly why treasures like this continue to exist in circulation. Hidden, waiting. Now imagine this scenario: you're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through a pile of old coins. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you're just curious. And then you spot a 2003 dime. You almost ignore it. But something catches your eye. A tiny detail. Something looks just a little off. Your heart starts to beat faster. You grab a magnifying glass, and suddenly, you see it. The doubling, the subtle shift, the unmistakable sign that this isn't just any coin. In that moment, everything changes, because what you're holding isn't 10 cents anymore, but it's a potential $1 million discovery. That's the power of knowledge. That's the power of paying attention. And here's the thing that makes this even more thrilling. Some of these coins are still out there. They haven't all been found. They're still circulating, still being used in everyday transactions, still hiding in plain sight. Which means the next one could show up anywhere. In your wallet, in your car, in that jar of coins you haven't touched in years. But only if you know what to look for. Only if you take the time to check. Because the difference between 10 cents and over $1 million isn't luck, that it's awareness, that it's curiosity, that it's the willingness to look a little closer when everyone else walks right past. Don't wait. Don't assume it couldn't happen to you. Because someone is going to find the next one. That's a fact. And there's no reason it can't be you. Right here, right now. All it takes is one coin. It looks like an ordinary 1975 dime. That's right. A simple, everyday coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought. A coin that most people wouldn't even bother picking up if they saw it on the ground. But hidden among those ordinary dimes is a legendary mistake. A coin that was never supposed to exist. A minting error so rare, so mysterious, that collectors have spent decades searching for it. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what to look for, because the next one could be in your hands. Now imagine this for a second that you're cleaning out your car. You reach under the seat and find a few loose coins. You almost toss them aside, but something makes you pause. You look closer, and suddenly, your heart starts racing, because what you're holding isn't just 10 cents, that it's a life-changing discovery, that a hidden treasure, worth more than most people will earn in a lifetime. This is not a fantasy. This is real, and it all revolves around one of the most mysterious coins ever released into circulation. The 1975 no-mint mark dime. At first glance, it looks completely normal. Same size, same color, same design you've seen 1,000 times before. But there's one tiny detail, one nearly invisible difference, that turns this ordinary coin into a millionaire's dream. The missing mint mark. You see, in 1975, dimes were struck at different mint locations. Most of them carried a small mint mark indicating where they were made. But a very small number slipped through the cracks. These coins were struck without any mint mark at all, and they were never supposed to leave the mint. Somehow, a few of them escaped into circulation, unnoticed, blending in with millions of regular coins. For years, nobody realized what had happened, until one collector made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the coin-collecting world. At a 1975 dime, with no mint mark, and something even more incredible, a strange doubling effect on the lettering. At first, it looked like a minor flaw. But upon closer inspection, experts realized it was something far more rare. A true minting error, a doubling caused during the striking process itself. Not damage, not wear, but a genuine mistake from the mint. And that changed everything. Because in the world of coin collecting, errors are gold. The rarer the error, the higher the value. This one was almost mythical. Collectors began searching everywhere. Coin rolls, bank vaults, old collections, estate sales. Everyone wanted to find another one. Because the few confirmed examples sold for astonishing amounts, hundreds of thousands, then over $1 million, and the legend of the 1975 no-mint mark dime was born. Now here's where it gets even more exciting. Most of these coins are still unaccounted for. That means they could still be out there, right now, hiding in plain sight, passing from hand to hand, dropped into vending machines, mixed into everyday change, completely unnoticed, waiting for someone like you to recognize what others have missed. You need to train your eye to spot the details. Start with the date. Look for 1975. That's your first clue. Next, look just below the date. This is where the mint mark should be. That if you see a small letter, like a D or an S, it's not the one. But if there's nothing there at all, no mark whatsoever, then you might be holding something extraordinary. Now don't get too excited just yet. That there's one more critical detail. The doubling. Look closely at the lettering on the coin, especially the words and numbers. If the edges appear slightly doubled, almost like a shadow or a faint echo, that's a huge sign. It means the coin may have been struck twice, slightly misaligned, creating that rare doubling effect. This is what collectors are desperate to find, because it confirms that the coin isn't just missing a mint mark, it's a genuine mint error. And that's where the value skyrockets. From a few cents to thousands, to potentially over $1 million. A coin you could find in your couch, worth more than a luxury home. And here's the part that makes this even more unbelievable. People have already found valuable coins like this in the most ordinary places. Old piggy banks, garage sales, loose change from grocery stores, coins that sat untouched for years until someone finally took a closer look. That's the difference between someone who overlooks opportunity and someone who recognizes it. Right now, millions of people are walking around with coins in their pockets, completely unaware of what they might be holding. They don't know what to look for. They don't know the signs, but now you do. And that puts you in a completely different position, because knowledge, in this case, is worth a fortune. Don't ignore it. Take a moment, look at each coin, examine the details, because that one small habit could lead to the discovery of a lifetime. Think about it. The one worth over $1.5 million. The one that changes everything. Your financial future, your lifestyle, your freedom. All from a single coin. It sounds unbelievable, but it's already happened before, and it will happen again. The only question is, because somewhere out there, Right now, another one of these coins is waiting to be found. It hasn't been discovered. It hasn't been claimed. It's just sitting there, blending in, hiding in plain sight. And the person who finds it will instantly become part of coin collecting history. That person could be anyone. A cashier, a student, a parent cleaning out a drawer, or someone watching this video who decided to take action. So don't ignore this. Don't assume it's too rare or too unlikely, because that's exactly what everyone else is thinking. And that's why these coins remain hidden. The opportunity exists because most people never look, but you're not most people anymore. You know what to check. You know what to look for. You know the signs. So go ahead. Check your pockets. Search your drawers. Look through that old jar of coins sitting in your house right now.